going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another episode of Tuffy Talk. And I do gotta say, this is going to be an interesting one. Definitely one I think, and nobody has probably seen anything like this before. And you're probably asking yourself, this is Tuffy Talk. Why is there this Carolina Blue dude here on the episode with us? Well, believe it or not, I figured that it's kind of come that time, as we're heading towards the end of we definitely have gotten done here with like the major sports here for this athletic year. So figured that we'd bring on somebody who I know, who's been a good friend of mine, who actually is a Carolina fan. Yes, I do have Carolina fans, but I will say that basically one of the reasons we want to do this is because also too we want to have a productive conversation, obviously, to kind of get that UNC fan side of it, but also to have a kind of NC State versus UNC conversation, but also to let you NC State fans know that, believe it or not, there are actually some level-headed Carolina fans out there that actually didn't get their apparel from Walmart. So they do exist. I guarantee it. And we got one here with us today. So Mackenzie White, we appreciate you coming on today, brother. Thanks so much.
Thanks guys for having me.
Absolutely, man. So for those State fans who don't know, so kind of give a little bit of background in terms of where your UNC fanhood started, and you went to Carolina, correct?
No, so I actually didn't go to Carolina. Born and raised a Carolina fan my entire life. Grandparents, great grandparents.
There you go.
It kind of goes way back. Just family tradition. Always been a Carolina fan. So
there you go.
Yeah, just kind of been stuck with the family, and I fell right in the footsteps of my parents, and just loved the game ever since. So.
Love the game. Any are you talking the men's basketball game specifically?
No specific sport.
Okay.
So I like to say every sport.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and
die hard on lacrosse.
What, you started on lacrosse? Is that what you said?
No, I said he's diehard lacrosse.
Oh yeah, men's lacrosse. Oh, definitely.
Some random sport. Yeah.
What?
Hey, I could say I've been to one or two matches before, but it's not my cup of tea by all means. But definitely football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah.
Definitely the top three for me. So,
well, I tell you, I like one sport I wish NC State had that UNC has. I would love to have a field hockey team. Like, I would love to go watch a field hockey game. I mean, I played hockey for 12 years and still follow it a ton. So I always think it's fascinating. But I'm like, I'm not about to go to UNC and give them my money just to go watch their team play. I want my own team, So yeah, and so again, just to go ahead, Mackenzie, and just make sure that that I'm going to pull an Eminem here from 8 Mile here and basically take out all of your bullets. So you can't call us Moo U because our Howling Cow ice cream is delicious. Our basketball team does suck. You cannot. I mean, we admit it.
Men's.
It's right. Yeah, men's basketball team. It's so you
clarify.
So you can't give us crap about that. We know it. There's no denying it. And then also to the Dennis Smith Jr. Allegations were released, so can't give us crap about that anymore. So I'm gonna take those 3 bullets out of your chamber.
You're giving them anything that you actually can say bad about us, you can't actually say. So there you go.
Well, I mean,
you wear red. I mean, is that what he's going with?
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, there might be others, but I'm just gonna take those 3 because those are 3 I hear all the time.
Just taking out the really, really obvious ones.
Right, exactly.
He took all the low hanging fruit away.
Exactly. So yeah, Mackenzie. So and obviously too, we'll start with, since we're the ones hosting this here, we'll go ahead and talk about the I guess the elephant in the room, or I guess the dog in the room, because you have a dog in the room there with you.
It sounded like a wolf. That was definitely a wolf.
It sounded like a wolf. Yeah, it sounded like a wolf in there. So obviously,
yeah, got a whole wolf.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you for sure, because I definitely, it was very clear that obviously UNC men's basketball didn't get off to the best start, and there was a lot of people that were calling for Hubert Davis's head. And I mean, I'm knowing you, I'm sure that and I know from talking to you that all of us said, and you even agreed, that the hiring of Hubert Davis was definitely a head scratcher. How you brought in a guy that had no head coaching experience, but obviously Roy Williams wanted him to be the head coach. So I mean, at any point were you one of the fans as well that was calling for Hubert Davis's head and is now kissing him at his feet saying, "I'm so sorry I ever doubted you"?
And my personal opinion on that, that's a really good question, guys. I don't think that I definitely am one of those players, or not players, but fans, I should say, to really, harp on a coach that bad on his first season. My whole thought and theory is on this is you really got to give a coach about roughly 3 to 4 years. He's still playing with Roy Williams players, and it's really hard to have a coach come in and be very successful as he did on his first year. Yeah, there were a lot of ups and downs throughout the seasons, but at the end of the day, you have a lot of bandwagon Carolina fans who were, pulling for him throughout the NCAA tournament. But for me personally, I feel like you definitely have to give him about 3 or 4 year run. Let him see how he adjusts as he recruits throughout the years and see what kind of players he brings in and what type of environment he's going to create here at the Carolina Dean Dome. So.
Yeah. Well, because one thing which I will say for sure, and I mean, again, I mean, me as a State fan, like even Roy Williams, I respected him to a point because I mean, there's no denying he was a great coach. I mean, there's no denying it, and also I respect him too because he was actually one of the few coaches that actually respected NC State as a rival back when during the times where UNC fans saying you're not our rival and all that jazz. Well, Roy Williams knew. I mean, it was huge to beat NC State. So anyway, so the point being is that one thing I do want to give Hubert Davis respect for is he's definitely a great guy. He's a great human being. Now, I mean, obviously, I can only give so much respect, and all State fans can only give so much respect because at the end of the day, he is coaching for UNC. But definitely respect there. But so let me ask you this. I mean, the obvious question, because I want to ask you if are you going to claim to be one of the few fans that like wasn't shocked at all by how successful the team was in the postseason? Or I mean, I feel like that's got to be like across the board that nobody expected how good they were or how far they went.
Yeah, no, great question. I actually, throughout the season, I was really worried there in the beginning. When we got smoked by Kentucky and we were just getting beat, these road games, we just could not play very well on the road games, and it almost felt like if it was an automatic loss every time we went on a road game, it felt like. But playing at the Dean Dome, it was a completely different atmosphere for those guys, and for them to play like they did at home and then to play like they did away, it didn't quite match up. But for me personally, I feel like, throughout the NCAA tournament, there was no way I personally felt like they were getting past UCLA. And actually, even in my brackets, I had them losing to UCLA as a Carolina fan. And, I just did not foresee them getting past a top 5 team throughout the regular season, and for them to continue on and beat them and beat Baylor and beat Duke. I mean, those were all top 5 teams, throughout the regular season. And for them to accomplish that and make it as far as they did, I as a Carolina fan, was completely shocked, and I really thought they had all the momentum going for them. But personally, when they got to the NCAA championship, I just felt like they were almost gassed. They had ran out of gas and they didn't quite have enough fuel to get past Kansas. Kansas was a great team all around, defensively, offensively, but I felt like the season overall, a lot of Carolina fans who were bandwagon fans were definitely pulling for them. But me as a personal Carolina fan, I did not ever see them making this championship run. But, going back to Josh Pastner, I don't know if you guys, kept up with him or whatnot, but after his post-game interview, he actually mentioned when they played Georgia Tech at Carolina, we actually had, or they had an interview, excuse me, and he actually said, if you don't have Carolina in your top 4, in the NCAA tournament on making it to the Final Four, he said, you'd be crazy not to. He said, they're one of the best teams in the country. And for him to say that, that kind of meant a lot to Carolina fans. But for them to actually put words into play was even, a huge moment for Carolina fans and the University of North Carolina. So for me, I was super shocked, Leighton, on that.
Yeah. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. Yeah, no, and again, I mean, obviously, us as State fans, it was kind of funny. It was kind of a bittersweet moment because obviously we knew, like, it was hilarious to see UNC blow one of the biggest leads in the NCAA, championship game history. But obviously, that bullet can obviously only go so far, because I know for most all Carolina fans that they were even just thrilled to even get to that point anyway. But I got to ask you, brother. I mean, seriously, like, does Baycott? I mean, so Baycott does Baycott coming back make any sense? I mean, us as State fans here, we're literally sitting here saying there's no way that dude comes back. The only reason though it makes sense that he would come back is that to develop a shot, and then that NIL money. I mean, I don't know, man. It just seemed crazy to me.
Yeah, to me, when I first heard that news, it was super, super shocking to me as a Carolina fan. I just automatically knew, of course, Brady Manick out for the season with, no more eligibility, of course, but for him to come back, I mean, I'm not sure what the reason and the purpose is behind that. The only thing I could think of is to maybe improve draft stock potential for next year. I'm not sure where they possibly had him projected at for this year if he was decided to go, but the only thing I could think about was just to really just improve his game overall. Maybe the NIL deal is part of the talk in there as well, but I can't believe he's coming back. But as a UNC fan, you gotta love that. So
Yeah, I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are about Leaky Black too, because he's like a guy I feel like when I watch him play, I imagine as a Carolina. My mom's a Carolina, went to Carolina. My sister went to Carolina. She was there in Texas. I think it was Houston when Chris Jenkins of Villanova hit that shot. She was there at that game. So for Leaky Black, is he a guy like when you watch him, you just want to pull your hair out?
Yeah, so good question. A lot of my buddies that they're all Carolina fans, went to Carolina, so we all really did not like Leaky at first. At the beginning of the season, we were like, this dude's garbage. Like, get him off the court. He's just another man in the rotation. Like, does not provide any benefit whatsoever to the starting five. And I think as the season really progressed, we started to see more and more of Leaky defensively and less offensively, and so to play with 4 players on the offensive board and 5 on the defensive board, that really hurts Carolina as a whole. But he really stepped up, I will say, towards the mid end of the season defensively. He's definitely a head scratcher because sometimes there are shots he takes, especially from the 3, that don't quite make sense. But as a Carolina fan, I personally feel like every time he gets the ball, I'm like, please don't shoot, please don't shoot. And
I don't know.
he still insists on shooting sometimes. But yeah, he can definitely be a head scratcher in some games, but his defense is really what keeps him in that starting 5 rotation.
I watched him play, and I'm like, personally, as a State fan, I like seeing him in there because I'm like, yeah, this is not really going to go well. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's so talented. He's so long for a guard, and it's just not really working out sometimes for him. But I mean, I know he said he's coming back, and I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, he's got to come back. He doesn't really have much stock.
Where were you going?
Yeah. So I'm like, but I thought it was interesting seeing Carolina friends like, oh my gosh, he's coming back. Like, I did not expect that, and I was curious what people think about him. So
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think if Leaky can come back next year and really work on his game offensively, I think he definitely has a great shot at being a great candidate, for draft stock anyways. If he can really improve on his offensive game, defensively wise, he's got that, in the bag. I mean, you go back and look at some of the top games that, they had at the Duke game when AJ Griffin, they held him at Duke to minimal points. And by far, Paulo was definitely one of the best players they had, but AJ Griffin is just an absolute stud for Duke. And for him to hold him offensively like that to minimal points, it's just, I mean, it's unknown for. I mean, you don't have a player like Leaky who can play that good of defense. But as you mentioned, one of the key characteristics for him is he's just long. His wingspan is super long standing. I think he's like 6'8". I mean, he's just got a huge wingspan. But I think if he can come back next year and really work on his game offensively in the offseason, I think he can be a great benefit to Carolina. And, him being a veteran and Baycott being a veteran, I think that can really benefit Carolina basketball, in the season and maybe even make a good run in the.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I want to ask this question. I just want to go ahead and ask this question because I feel like as a State fan, the rivalry between State and Carolina is there, and I think Carolina fans would be, if they're honest, would say it's there. I get in basketball, it's not the same because where Duke is right now. And I get them. Most people in our generation haven't seen the NC State Carolina rivalry like it was back in the early '90s and before then.
Mhm.
But when you see a coach like Roy Williams, like he is adamant. It is do or die against NC State.
Mhm.
I just feel like I feel like Carolina fans just talk junk to State fans just to watch them get mad.
Sure.
Personally, like just to like say stuff, but because I'm like, there's no like when I say things to Carolina fans, like just not being mean, but just saying like fun smack talk, they get pretty heated about it. So it's like it matters to them that they hate State. I'm curious where it falls in your perspective.
I think right now, back in the 90s, the NC State Carolina rivalry was by far, way bigger than it is today, of course. For me personally, I'd see NC State as don't take this the wrong way, guys.
It's all good.
I see NC State as just another opponent on the schedule.
Yeah.
When we talk rivalry, we talk Duke. We're talking the blue blood
But
school.
are we talking just basketball? Or are we talking any sport?
Just basketball specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, but football, you guys are there, man. You're stepping the game up when it comes to football. So
here's the thing for me for rivalries. If we weren't a rivalry, at least in football, they wouldn't put us on the schedule yearly, like because they would have found you another common crossover opponent.
And my thing is too, like when State has gone to Carolina, and like obviously it's the minority times, and State has won, or Carolina's win. Even when Carolina's winning, it's particularly loud in there, I would say, relatively to playing a team like Miami or Pittsburgh or whoever. Like it matters because people got friends and family that went to NC State, that go to NC State. And then when they lose, like I remember that overtime game a few years ago where State won with Markel Johnson at point guard. And I remember getting it was like real. It wasn't, I mean, obviously not Duke, but it's I don't know. I just feel like Carolina fans don't they play it down, but in their heart they hate losing to State, and I think they love beating State, but I think it's for different reasons. So
sure.
Well, there's definitely a love-hate relationship there for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, no, it's just like like when they lose to us, well, they're not our rival. It doesn't matter anyway, right? And then when
but it's
they
like,
win,
how do you?
Yeah,
how
we
can
do
you
it all
say
the
that?
time. Like we saw it. Yeah, like
you guys
like,
get
they all come
so
from the
mad
top of
when
the
everybody
mountain.
like not necessarily you guys, generally the Carolina fans, like when you say anything to them, they get super defensive, and it's like, well, if you're not rivals and you really don't care, why does it bother you? So
exactly,
yeah.
I don't know. That's
yeah, I do think overall though, I think between our rivals, definitely you guys, Duke, and I can't really say Wake, but definitely you guys and Duke
No
are
one
probably
says
the top
Wake.
two
No one says Wake.
waivers.
Like
even in like women's basketball, for instance, like people might want to say there's a rivalry between NC State and Louisville right now. Like, yeah, it's good to beat Louisville. Like you want to beat Louisville or NC State and Notre Dame. Like I feel like those are the three schools right now. They're at the top for women's basketball. But even when State's played Carolina recently, and it's just a down year, like women's basketball looks forward. Like UNC women's basketball clearly looks forward and stokes the fire to go play NC State and vice versa. And it matters, I believe, for both. I feel like it's the only sport that people say that is basketball. And I think it just carries more weight because basketball is king in North Carolina. Like it matters more.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't move to Virginia. And I try to tell people, I'm like, if you move to the Triangle or you move to North Carolina, one of the first questions you're going to get is who's your team? And it's a character assessment. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we cannot be friends with these people.
Oh,
we're gonna have to move.
Okay, now I kind of pigeonhole you. Oh, you're a Carolina fan? Oh, okay, you're one of those. I mean,
well, and so let me ask you this too, Mackenzie. So, obviously, one of the things that happened, I think, this past year that really just absolutely just stoked the heck out of the fire between State and Carolina for women's basketball is obviously Coach Bankhart's famous statement calling Reynolds Coliseum it's a small gym. And so, of course, that game,
it was like no
everywhere.
Tone either, no emotional.
Like, it's a small gym, and of course, all State fans were like, oh, okay, like, and so like, I think, see, it's kind of funny, like, for me, like, I'm glad she did it, because it's like now it's like really like added more fire forever. Like, it's like for however long Coach Banghart coaches at Carolina, is going to be remembered as, oh, small gym. Like, that's never going to be forgotten ever. She called it a small gym.
She
So
doesn't understand that Reynolds Coliseum is a national landmark. It's a national treasure to be behold.
I mean, it is, but it's like it was just now, guys, we're tooting our own horn a little too much. But,
I know Mackenzie needs to call us down.
Mackenzie had his moment. Mackenzie had his moment.
But no, I'm just saying, like, I just think it's interesting. Like, I don't know, basketball's king in North Carolina. It carries more weight here, particularly when Duke and Carolina. I mean, I think it's crazy when you think about Wake Forest used to be in Wake Forest. Like, you could drive to all 4 schools and be back to where you started in probably 2 hours. And now you can drive to State Duke, Carolina, get back to where you started in probably an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it's be good for college basketball if NC State were to get back to where it was. I think it'd be really good, particularly for ACC, obviously, in North Carolina basketball. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting the dynamics that Carolina fans say we're not your rivals, but then they, like, if I say anything, like, it just fires them up that I talk to, and I'm like, okay, I'm just saying. So
you could literally spend 2 minutes on Twitter, and you could go, they're not a rival, to it's the most insane rivalry in all of sports. It runs the complete gamut, but I think you get more they're a rival than not.
Sure.
But again, we have to get better in basketball for it to really mean anything, because like Macon said, I mean, the ACC was born and bred in the Triangle. There's a reason why Reynolds was built to host the first couple of ACC tournaments. Like, that was the vision. And that's what put the ACC and the Triangle on the map was basketball.
Yep.
You can argue Indiana basketball, but honestly, North Carolina basketball is where it's at.
But see, here's where I think Carolina fans have a point, because you're like, yeah, that is all true, and totally respect that. But the last time you were really good in basketball was in the 90s. Like, this is 2022. Like, it's 30 years later.
The last time you were good, social media didn't exist.
Right. I mean, it's like, so it's like, guys, I've heard the comment, like, we're just living in the past.
Yeah,
which I'm kind of like, that's what we can hang our hat on. So,
I mean, look. There's a reason I have these.
Am I wrong, Mackenzie? Am I wrong?
Hey, I mean, national championships prove otherwise. So
see, look, there you go.
Yeah, but Carolina counts ones that don't even exist, like in the 20s. Like,
has Carolina fans ever come to terms with the Michael Jordan? I'm
kidding. he's the GOAT from Carolina.
The roof,
but his idol was David Thompson.
The ceiling is the roof.
So
the ceiling is the roof. Yeah.
so Mackenzie, are you going to go on record saying that Michael Jordan was a better ACC player than David Thompson? Are you going to go on record saying that, or are you going to admit to us right now?
Just
admit to it. Just admit to it that David Thompson is the greatest player in ACC
he's not
basketball
say
history.
That, dude. He's
not
going to say that.
Gotta stay true to my guys.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, we're done. We don't even need a part 2. We're done.
Anything else you say is ridiculous.
Gotta stay true.
Come on.
I respect it.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
I respect it.
Yeah, I get it.
But there is a reason
you
why...
can be wrong, but we respect it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's okay to be wrong, but
yeah.
So, I mean, Michael Jordan was coming to NC State, like, before all the nonsense happened. I mean, it's known that he was a David Thompson fan.
This is where Carolina fans go, hey, but the rest is history. Okay? I mean,
right. Yeah, but he won as many national championships as we did in the 80s.
So here, I want to switch gears here then to football, because that's where I've
Give us a fighting chance, Macon. Give us a fighting chance.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna pause football here. We're gonna save that for part 2. But again, we'll definitely get into that here since we're wrapping up here.
What you did there.
But one question I want to ask you though about basketball, because it's something that always bugs the heck out of me, Mackenzie. I don't know if there's like a story behind it, or if it's just that Carolina fans just do it. But one of the things that always has annoyed the heck out of me when it comes to fans for basketball is it always seems like whenever UNC makes like one basket, they're like, everybody stands up and it's like, yeah, let's go. And it's like as if they're on a run. And I'm like, you scored one basket. Sit your butts down. Like, what are y'all doing? Like,
I don't know. I
so
respect that.
I mean, well, but I like again, well, because it's I
wish
don't know,
State
just
did that.
but again, that is not normal. That is not normal for a team to make one like literally like the other team going like a 20-point run, and then UNC makes one basket, and UNC fans are like, oh man, here we go. It's like you made one basket, make a second basket first. So I don't know.
Well, speaking of that, in the women's game this year, when we I don't know, we win by 27-28. Like we're up by like 22 in the second half. Carolina makes a basket. There's one token Carolina fan behind me. He's like, defense. I'm like, you're down 22. Like, let it go, bro. Let it go.
Yeah, but dude, that happens everywhere. Come on, that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, because is there like, I mean, do you?
I think it comes from all the old tradition, man. You know, Carolina fans, a bunch of them are just old people. As bad as that is to say, there's just a bunch of old Carolina fans. If you think about the university and the amount of people who attend games, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it may be, every bit of the people are old. So, you know, for them to get up and start clapping, it can be definitely annoying. But you know, when we definitely go on runs, it's like that consistently. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a game at the Dean Dome, but it's consistent. They probably do it 15, 25 times a game, and it is annoying.
Yes, it is. All right.
I'd rather get a root canal than go to the Dean Dome.
I told my bucket list item for me is I want to see State play at Carolina and State play.
Yeah, I do too.
At Duke.
Honestly,
but I'll tell you,
I do too.
It's just I've never been. I grew up in Cary, so it's like I've never been. My mom's an alum of Carolina. It's just the tickets when State plays Carolina and State plays Duke and Carolina plays Duke. The tickets are just crazy expensive. Like you have to have killed somebody to have getting a ticket there, or have known somebody's somehow through the chain. You knew Roy Williams, like you're related to his cousin, and you got a ticket. Like that's how you're going to go to those games at John Mill, unless you're going to spend on.
I think that kind of goes back to what you guys were saying about the tradition of North Carolina. Really was basketball, and I think that's really what drives the price of those tickets up. But yeah, I agree with you. The tickets are tremendously outrageous, but luckily, it helps to know people.
Sure. Well,
I was supposed to go to the Carolina State game here at PNC, and I've never gone to a Carolina State basketball game. I live in Northern Virginia, by the way, so it's not always easy for me. And I had tickets, and I said, I don't want to go. Like, I'll go to baseball. Like, I didn't even, as much as I love the rivalry, it's like, not this year. Like, it's just, I'd rather go do something more productive with my day.
Sure.
So, but it's still a full house. It doesn't matter if either team is good at the other place. It's always packed. Like it's just one of those things.
Yep. So, but the one request I want to make to you, Mackenzie, if you ever talk to the Tar Heel, the Ram Club or whatever about recommendations for upgrades, as we wrap up part 1 here, is can you please make the upper level not so daggone steep? Those stairs are ridiculous, man. Like golly. So just work on that, okay? Like, I'm going to go back to the Dean Dome eventually, and I just, I don't want to have to like look straight up to be like, we're going up there. Oh my God. So
aren't they getting ready to redo the inside again? I thought I maybe read that they were trying to reconfigure it, and everyone was trying to stop it from happening because of the prices, and they're trying to make it more lucrative, I guess. We're putting up more suites and all of that to get high-end tickets. I believe I read that somewhere that was in the intentions. Do you know anything about that?
That'd be interesting. I know a lot of people would definitely be upset, like you were mentioning, if that was to happen, changing the tradition of what the Dean Dome represents and how it, traditional looks now. But yeah, Leighton, I agree with you. That upper level, man, it's pretty tremendous as far as the steepness wise. But I've sat up there a few times. The more expensive games, but throughout the years I've kind of gained some friends, but now I'm sitting on the lower level. So
there you go.
maybe if I could scoop a couple of tickets for my NC State friends, maybe I'll invite you guys down to a State Carolina game.
All right, fair enough. Well, hey, we're up to the challenge. All right, y'all. Well, hey, thank you all so much for tuning in here for part 1. Hope you all enjoy this first part here. But again, make sure to tune back in. This is again part 2. We're gonna be getting away from basketball talking more football here. So tune in for part 2 here. And again, as always, make sure again hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out whenever we release new NC State content. Give this video a like so that way YouTube will put this video in front of more NC State fans. And also give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram if you haven't already. But thank you all so much. Again, hey, we'll see y'all for part 2. As always, go Pack, y'all.